I would like to welcome all of you to the Research and Creativity Award Ceremony. Research and Creativity Day is a joint effort among the Undergraduate Research Scholarship and Creative Activities Committee, Honor Society of Phi Kappa Phi, the Graduate School, and the Research and Grant Office. I would like to particularly express my thanks and appreciation for all the work that was done to organize, plan, and administrate this event. I particularly want to recognize a few people, and if you'd stand up, because they're the heart and soul of this whole day. Dr. Tim Burnett, Dr. Dwight Moore, somewhere, Mrs. Pam Fillmore, and Miss Jenny Barger. In addition, if I could have the members of the Undergraduate Research Committee and Honor Society stand to be recognized, and thank you for your efforts. Please stand up. The first award is for the Phi Kappa Phi Award, and this year the Phi Kappa Phi is awarding 2 cash awards, one for the best undergraduate oral abstract and one for the best graduate oral abstract. I would like Manjula Shinge to come forward to present this award.
Hello everybody, it's really nice to see all of you scholars here. Phi Kappa Phi started a tradition last year, so this is just the second year that we are awarding 2 awards to the scholars. So one is to the undergrad student who had the best abstract, and the second is to the grad student. It is my honor to request Junius Fleming to please come up. All right.
Exception for Judith.
Thank you so much. So we have a certificate, we have a cash check in the packet, and a letter of appreciation. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Fleming is not here. The graduate award goes to Chen Yang. We are going to find out what Phi Kappa Phi is about in just 1 minute, because there are some of us who really don't know what Phi Kappa Phi is. I have put Dr. Weaver on the spot and I said, can you say something about Phi Kappa Phi? And he has readily agreed.
Thank you, Angela. Phi Kappa Phi is the honor society here at Emporia State University. We have honor societies in our respective disciplines, but this is an honor society for the whole university, irrespective of the discipline, your major. And it's to be initiated is a very high accomplishment. And if there are Phi Kappa Phi members, could you raise your hand? So you can look around and see how the caliber of the organization. And I encourage all of you who are not members to continue to work hard in your academics so that you qualify. Phi Kappa Phi has been around since 1897, founded at the University of Maine. It's the nation's oldest, largest, and most selective collegiate honor society for all academic disciplines. So it doesn't matter if you're in the College of Arts and Sciences, or the Teachers College, or Library and Information Management, or the School of Business. Its chapters are on more than 300 campuses in the United States, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. So it's not just national, but it's international as well. Congratulations to all of you for participating today. It's this kind of intellectual activity that we elevate at Emporia State University and through Phi Kappa Phi. Thank you, Julie.
This was the first year we had a 3-minute thesis competition. And it was It was very interesting and very well attended. I would like to thank the judges, Kathy Grover, Paul Lubers, and Greg Thomas for their work at that point in time. I'd like to announce the 3 top award winners. Third place will receive $250, and that was Zhenzheng Wu. Second place was Harry Spencer. And first place was Luke Pryman. I would like to ask John Sheridan, Dean of the Library, to come forward to present the Audrey S. Major Award.
Good afternoon. Great day to be part of the ESU Hornet Research endeavor. My name is John Sheridan. I'm the Dean of University Libraries here. And this is the 20th year that the Audrey S. Major Research Fund is presenting an award. To an endowed fund, the University Library Archives has been able each spring to offer financial support to a departmental faculty research effort. And we appreciate this opportunity to support the faculty in those efforts. The award is determined by a committee of the University Library and Archives. This year, the University Library and Archives is pleased to present the 2014 Audrey S. Major Fund Award to Dr. Sarah Sutton, Assistant Professor in the School of Library and Information Management, whose project is developing information literacy across the SLIM graduate core curriculum. Accepting for Dr. Sutton today, who is pursuing another research interest at the conference, is Dr. Myra Dow, Associate Professor in the School of Library and Information Management. And just as a quick footnote, I just learned yesterday that last week the Kansas Association of School Libraries has announced that Myra is going to be the recipient of that association's 2014 Vision Award to be made at their October meeting. So on behalf of the libraries, and if you'll do a good job of flipping this to Sarah.
I'll be glad.
The next award is the Boylan Award. The Boylan Award was created for Lawrence Boylan, Dean of the Graduate Studies School from 1958 to 1966. The Boylan Fund provides awards for distinguished scholarship and graduate study. We have 2 recipients for the Boylan Scholar Award this year. The first recipient is Brianna Henshaw. Brianna here, come on up. Brianna is working on her master's in English. Since beginning her graduate degree, she has been a graduate teaching assistant for the Department of English, Modern Languages, and Journalism. She looks forward to teaching every day and enjoys the relationship she has with her students. She would like to teach English at the high school level in the Kansas City area after she graduates. She will receive a $2,125 award for the next academic year. Congratulations. Second recipient of this award is Gian Yang. Gian is currently working on his master's in microbiology and cellular biology. He is a member of Dr. Eric Yang's research group and has presented his research at the annual meeting of the American Society of Cell Biology and the Kansas Academy of Science, Kansas Entomology Society. His most recent research is in the investigation of the effects of vitamin C on the proliferation and invasiveness of human malignant melanoma. His career goal is to fight cancers by identifying more potent chemotherapeutic agents with less toxicity to humans. After receiving his master's, he plans to pursue his doctorate. He also will receive $2,125 for next year, and congratulations. Graduate Teaching Assistant Awards. for excellence in teaching were established in 2005 by the Graduate Council of Emporia State to recognize excellence in teaching by graduate teaching assistants. This year there are 2 recipients. Each recipient will receive $500 and a certificate, although if you wanted to trade the money for the certificate, you could. The first one goes to Yoshim Park. Yoshim? Yoshim is working on her master's degree in biology with a concentration in microbiology and cellular biology. She is a teaching assistant in the Department of Biological Sciences. Ms. Park was nominated by Eric Yang, Associate Professor in the department. The second recipient is Erica Peterson. Erica is a teaching assistant in the Department of Psychology. She was nominated by Kathy Grover, Associate Professor of Psychology. Our congratulations. The Durst Award was created for Harold Durst to provide financial support for research and creative activities by graduate students. Recipients must be completing a thesis to qualify for this award. This year's recipient is Chen Yang. Chen is pursuing a master's degree in biology with a concentration in microbiology and cellular biology through biological sciences. She was awarded $898 for her research project entitled Treating Malignant Melanoma Cells Using Small RNA LET7A. She also receives a certificate. And congratulations to you. Grover Graduate Student Scholarship was established in 2005 and is selected by a subcommittee of the Graduate Council. Each student will receive a cash award of $350. The first recipient, Jessica Andrade, is not here today. She is working on her master's in counselor ed. We congratulate her. She could not make it today. The second recipient is here, and that is Tiffany Orth. Tiffany? Is working on her master's degree in health, physical education, and recreation. Her plans are to become a future educator in her field. As stated by one of her professors, her sincere concern for her students is evident. She is willing to go the extra mile to make the teaching learning situation as memorable and engaging as possible. Our congratulations to you, Tiffany. Tim Burnett will announce the Summer Undergraduate Research Awards.
The Undergraduate Scholarship Research and Creative Activities Committee selected 11 projects to participate in this year's ESU Summer Undergraduate Research Program, or ESERP. This program encourages the engagement of undergraduate students in the original scholarly or creative activities of faculty by providing support for collaborative projects during the summer months. The program creates opportunities for mentoring and high-impact student experiences by providing grants from $5,000 to $7,000 that include support for faculty summer salary, a student stipend, and supplies. The program is supported by the Kansas Idea Network of Biomedical Research Excellence, the ESU Research and Grant Center, the Office of the Provost, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and the Teachers College. I have letters and recognitions for each of the participants, so if you're here, when I announce your name, you can come up and take one of these. The first two participants are my students. So Wesley Burdick is senior in biochemistry and molecular biology. The title of his project is Dysregulation of Treg Cells Using Inhibiting Antibody. Second student is Marie Castro Munoz, and the title of her project, Hypoxia Effects on Intestinal Mucosal Tolerance. Sean Clarge, a senior in chemistry, and Dr. Diane Nutbrown in physical sciences. Title of theirs is Computational Modeling of Fluorescent Probes to Understand How Lithium Treats Bipolar Disorder. Caitlin Durrell, a junior in English, and Dr. Don McConkey, Impressionistic Music and the Written Word, The Power of Collaboration. Carissa Forsyth, junior in chemistry, and Dr. Diane Nutbrown, physical sciences, spectroscopic studies of fluorescent sensors for lithium ions. Ashley Hansen, senior, elementary education, and Dr. Matt Samirs, elementary ed, early childhood ed, and special ed, the need for females to enter into STEM careers. Murad Jalilov, a sophomore in political science, and Dr. Phil Kelly, social sciences, the Ukrainian Shadow Belt. Marcus Portafi, senior in biology, and Dr. David Edge, biological sciences, fishes of the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. Sabrina Powell, junior, painting and sculpture, and Dr. Dan Kirchheffer, art, dog, and best friend. Sydney Prickett, senior in secondary education in English, and Dr. Melissa Reed, elementary education, early childhood education, special education. Bohemian Muse, motivating adolescents in the realm of literacy. And Charles Wells, senior in biochemistry and molecular biology, and Dr. Melissa Bailey, biological sciences, the effect of study environment on hydroxyurea metabolism and teratogenesis in CD1 mice. So these are 11 projects for this summer, and we wish them luck. Congratulations, guys.
I'm grateful that Tim pronounced those studies. The Faculty Research and Creativity Committee awards grants to faculty each year. This year we awarded 9 faculty grants totaling $71,000. If you are here and received one of those grants, would you just stand to be recognized? May Bow. Dan Colson. David Eggs. Brenda Porter. Andrew Miller. Diane Nutbrown. Rachel Smith. Eric Yang. Before I invite President Sean Rock to come and introduce the recipient of this year's President's Award for Research and Creativity, I would like to recognize last year's recipient of the award. Last year's recipient was Dr. Cal Chakaborik. It is now my pleasure to ask the President to come forward.
Thank you. The excitement in the audience. How many of you are ready for the semester to end? More enthusiasm on behalf of the faculty. Well, again, it's a great day to be awarded, and I will tell you in a moment, it is a great day to be a professor of philosophy. It is my pleasure to recognize the award for creativity and research at Emporia State University. I'm pleased to present the 2014 President's Award for Research and Creativity to Dr. Charles Brown, professor in the Department of Social Sciences. Let's give him a round of applause. This award was established in 1996 to honor an Emporia State individual who has been active in research, scholarly activity, and creative activities. The individual receiving the award must be peer nominated and selected by a subcommittee of the Emporia State Faculty Research and Creativity Committee. Dr. Brown came to Emporia State University in 1989 as an assistant professor of philosophy and has many accomplishments, as all of us know, in subfields of intercultural dialogue, environmental philosophy, and has brought national and international acclaim to the university. The first two of his books, in International Recognized and Establishing Eco-Phenomenology, as a new genre in environmental philosophy, which has become a research paradigm across many disciplines as well. Lots of nice big college words, I love that. Dr. Brown has since published many book chapters and peer-reviewed journal articles that expanded his contribution to the field. His work is also recognized for pioneering emerging subdiscipline of ecopsychology. Colleagues describe Dr. Brown as a mature and original thinker whose work has been widely influential in the field of contemporary environmental philosophy and political theory, and his work continues to open new horizons in both fields. Dr. Brown has the distinction of being the only 3-time recipient of the International Society of Universal Dialogue prestigious Jacobs Research Prize, given for outstanding work in political philosophy and intercultural dialogue. Dr. Brown today will receive a $1,000 check, an engraved plaque, which I will present to him in just a moment, and his name will certainly be added to our display in the President's office. Also, I want to take this opportunity to recognize Dr. Brown. Like I said, it's a great day to be awarded. It is a great day to be Professor Brown. I'd like to, as you come forward, Dr. Brown, also recognize you as our most recent recipient of the Roar Pross Distinguished Professor Award and present you officially your medallion. Just like graduation. Enough of it.
Well, thank you very much. It truly is a great honor, and let me start off by thanking President Sean Rock, Dean Ermler, and Professor Hanson, the chair of our department, and also the faculty committee on research and creativity. It really means a lot to be recognized by this university. It means a lot to be recognized by the people who are Emporia State University. Receiving this award is truly an honor, and I believe that I'm the first philosopher to receive this award. And not to brag too much, it only took me 25 years. I want to thank all of my colleagues over the past 25 years for their encouragement and collegiality. I want to thank my wife, who is far better read than I, and who shares with me diverse information from many fields that makes me be a better scholar. And I want to thank, Diane especially, and say that sharing the life of Diane and working with the Faculty of Academics is, from my perspective, about as good as it gets. So I'm lucky. But you know, sometimes academics are kind of funny. If you hang out with people from the so-called real world long enough, business people, laborers, service providers, sooner or later they will get around to talking about academics. And they always say the same thing. Those academics, they're pretty nice folk, they mean well, they know a lot of smart people words, but they just don't have any common sense. They don't live in the real world. And I suppose that there is some sliver of truth to that. But if you hang out with academics for very long, sooner or later they get around to talking about philosophers. And they always say the same thing. Those philosophers, they're pretty nice folk, they got their book learning going on, but they just don't have any common sense. They don't live in the real world. And with this in mind, I will try not to disappoint you today. And I'm told that brevity is the great virtue of talks like this. The wisdom of our sponsors has limited this one to 15 minutes. I will talk a little bit about environmental philosophy, a little bit about political philosophy, a little bit about the role of the university, a little bit about my own experience with public institutions. All this is framed around the idea of a common good. I'm hoping all this fits together in 15 minutes, and that 15-minute clock starts right now. One of the enduring questions that we as academics are tasked with concerns the nature of the university curriculum. For what should the university prepare its graduates? For example, Nobel laureate Paul Cruzen and other natural scientists argue that human impact on the earth has already propelled us into a new geological age. Cruzen and others propose that this new epoch be named the Anthropocene, or perhaps Anthropocene, meaning the age of humans. The advocacy for the recognition of a new geological epoch frequently comes with the further claim that it is the evolutionary destiny of human beings, the evolutionary destiny of our species to transform the environment around us to better serve our needs. Cruzen and others argue that in order to survive the unintended ecological upheaval of the Anthropocene, climate disruption, mass extinction, ubiquitous pollution, they argue that humans have no choice other than embarking on the grand project of massively geoengineering the planet, controlling the temperatures and chemistries of the atmosphere, ocean, soils, as well as shaping existing ecosystems to better support the human project of planetary transformation. Now, what I like about this idea is that there are several big picture themes rolled into one. New geological epoch, human destiny, urgent political choices, as well as a clear alternative to the dominant ethos of most environmentalists. The Anthropocene advocates argue that we must adapt the human's biosphere to fit human practices rather than adapting human practices to fit the environment. So what's not to like? But how are we to think about such ideas? Ideas at the intersection of the natural and social sciences as well as the humanities? Ideas that lead us into uncertain futures? Such questions require ongoing reflection and dialogue among many diverse perspectives. Such questions require the ability to entertain multiple interpretations of complex matters. And all of this again raises the question of what kinds of issues and problems should the university prepare its graduates to wisely consider. And the question about how to think about the proposal to name a new geological epoch after our own species is merely one example of the many conceptual challenges towards thinking wisely about the issues that define our moment in history. To do this well, we may need some luck. We need to be lucky enough to have an educated, thoughtful, and even a wise population of critical and adaptive thinkers. In my own life, I was lucky to receive a minimally adequate education from a variety of public institutions at public expense. I was lucky to graduate high school in Oklahoma. This entitled me to guaranteed admission at that state's flagship university. This allowed me to study and eventually work with the Indian philosopher Jatindranath Mohanty, who is internationally recognized as one of the bright stars in the phenomenological tradition in philosophy, and is now the most celebrated of all living Indian philosophers. The world-class training in phenomenology shaped my future research and theoretical orientation. So yeah, I'm lucky. And what I think I learned in my publicly supported education are a few simple lessons worth repeating. First, don't confuse the map with the territory. And the idea there is not to confuse the way things make sense for me with the way things really are. Secondly, any perspective or conceptual framework powerful enough to reveal something of importance also conceals something of importance. Too often, in the attempt to privilege one perspective over the others and call it the final truth, we forget that differing perspectives need not be mutually exclusive and can possibly illuminate deeper and more complex truths. Finally, the moral ideal of ahimsa, the ethic of non-injury, should be applied to philosophical and critical thinking. And what this means is that we should not reject outright the point of view of the other without first recognizing an element of truth in it. Recognition, or at least openness, to finding some truth in the standpoint of the other seems to be a necessary condition of the sort of dialogue that leads us not only towards peace and solidarity, but also towards more encompassing and more stable forms of truth. So I was lucky to learn all of this through participation in public institutions. I was lucky to grow up in a time of great public work, such as the building of the interstate highway system and the post-World War II democratization of higher education. Both projects dramatically expanded opportunities for all. I was lucky to be hired by ESU, where I first discovered in our library the Journal of Environmental Ethics. And over time, I tried to think about how the insights and methods of phenomenology could be applied to environmental philosophy. And I was eventually lucky enough to be part of the new field of inquiry, now known as ecophenomenology. In recent years, it's been very gratifying to see ecophenomenology emerge as a new research paradigm, not only in environmental philosophy, but across the environmental humanities, but also in unlikely disciplines such as forest studies, anthropology, geography, architecture, and even modern dance. And I promise I am not making that up. Now, whatever small things I may have accomplished flow directly from the opportunities of freedom and personal empowerment cultivated by public institutions. So, yeah, I've been lucky. Lucky to have been funded by ESU to travel to Poland in 1989. Lucky to be a founding member of the International Society for Universal Dialogue. Lucky to be offered the opportunity to research the history of the ideas guiding the Polish dissident movement and the rise of solidarity in Poland. Lucky to present papers on just war theory in Hiroshima, democracy in Greece, globalization in Beijing, neoliberal economic and political theory in New York City. And all of this was supported by modest travel funds that have been greatly reduced. So maybe our luck is running out. Too many young scholars no longer have the same level of access to professional development as I did, and this is true all across the country. Our commitment to public institutions reflects a basic sentiment shared by nearly all, that in some big way we're all in this together. The traditional virtues of loyalty, compassion, honesty, generosity, fairness, all reflect a sense of solidarity with others, a sense of common purpose. Much of my own work at the intersection of political and environmental philosophy attempts to show that this sense of a shared common good is rational, that it cannot be easily dismissed as mere and irrational sentiment, as many tend to do. This sense of solidarity, the sense of common purpose, sense of common good is currently under attack. We are told daily that public institutions are corrupt and must be eliminated or replaced with private institutions. One often hears that liberty means the pursuit of the private good, and any pursuit of the public good is a threat to that liberty. Advocates for the primacy of the private good often point to the work of Adam Smith and Milton Friedman as providing support. Ideas attacking the notion of the common good have also emerged from some serious environmental thinking. Most people are familiar with Garrett Hardin's Malthusian morality tale, known as The Tragedy of the Commons. It's a classic piece of environmental policy analysis that has been influential in shaping the way people think about shared resources and population. Hardin imagines the plausible case of herders sharing a common pasture who inevitably pursue their own self-interest by grazing as many cows as possible, even if the result destroys the common pasture and ends in destruction and tragedy for all. Very often, the tragedy of the commons is used to support the idea that we can only save the grasslands, the forests, the mountains, the oceans by private ownership, as the pursuit of the private good, we are told, is always more efficient in guarding and protecting resources than the pursuit of the public good. Garrett Hardin writes, "Freedom in a commons brings ruin to us all." After the 1968 publication of Tragedy of the Commons, people everywhere begin to see all sorts of commons on the brink of tragedy. Contemporary examples of commons typically include the atmosphere and the oceans, where fish populations steadily decline due to industrial fishing fleets and lack of regulations. Our atmosphere is treated as an unregulated dump for carbon dioxide. Other examples are human-created commons, such as public schools, social security retirement systems, public libraries, police departments, fire departments, and of course, the internet. The pressure to privatize or enclose these commons and other commons is now immense, as the dynamic between the pursuit of the private good and the public good is too often seen as a zero-sum game. In recent years, the proposal that the commons must be privatized in order to save them has drawn sharp criticism. Public intellectual Noam Chomsky claims that privatization is the tragedy of the commons, as we can now see that when the commons is privatized, it too often gets destroyed for private profit. Eleanor Ostром's Nobel Prize-winning work, which in some ways transcends the public-private dichotomy, shows that communities have generally developed creative strategies for managing shared resources in order to safeguard their value for all. One of the more underappreciated parts of the commons is our collective knowledge and shared intellectual heritage, making possible both public and private good. Unlike pastures and ponds, this common knowledge and intellectual heritage is open to all and not diminished by overuse. But like ponds and pastures, this common knowledge must be preserved and passed on by society. Traditionally, the university has been the guardian of this collective resource. Today, the current ideology of the primacy of self-interest and the private good threatens to undermine the traditional role of the university as an institution devoted to the public good. We see this as the university is reshaped to resemble the current configurations of private institutions devoted to private good. We see the university increasingly restructured to serve the private good of individual consumers of economic skills. Faculty salaries stagnate while executive salaries rise. Tenured faculty are replaced by adjunct professors working at multiple institutions for minimal wage. State support for universities steadily contracts. Energetic and critical dialogue of how best to support both the common and private good requires the protection and guarantee of free speech and the expression of conscience. Just as the moment arrives when university faculty are encouraged to engage their students through trendy social media, traditional guarantees of academic freedom are rescinded in those very forms of speech. Whatever else the university may be, it must also be a public trust and a social good. To be so, we must work to foster intellectual insight, imagination, social responsibility, and the struggle for justice. Universities must promote enlightened public discourse and citizen involvement in the defining issues of our times. So what should the university prepare its graduates for? Well, you already know my answer: to effectively pursue their own private good and the good of their families, and to be wise partners in the shared pursuit of the common good. University graduates must have the ability to understand the great issues of our times from a variety of perspectives and disciplines. They must have the wisdom and imagination to forge constructive responses to those issues. They must have the courage and the skill to motivate others to join with them. The university should prepare its graduates to live wisely and effectively in the real world. The real world consists of many wonderful and many terrible things. If the Anthropocene advocates are correct, that it is the evolutionary destiny of our species to transform the planet's ecosystems, we must also recognize that it's the evolutionary destiny of humans to care for others, to imagine a better world, to work to transform human social systems. Mohandas Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela clearly saw both the horrors and the promises of the real world. They each left the real world a better place by cultivating the common good. The real world is structured by both the actual and the possible. We have always been told that the task of determining the curriculum belongs to the faculty. We can only hope that university faculty, and this includes all of us, students, professors, deans, provosts, presidents, we can only hope that we will demonstrate the required wisdom, courage, and leadership for our moment in history. So let me leave you with what I hope is an uplifting note, with a misquote from the poet laureate of my generation. May your heart always be joyful, and may your song always be sung. May you always do for others, and let others do for you. And may you too work for the common good. Okay, I made that last part up. Thank you, and have a great day.
So Kathy had to leave, so to step in for the common good, I agreed to wrap up our meeting today. We did neglect to offer departments a chance to recognize students in their area that may have won some departmental awards. Are there any departmental awards that wanted to be announced? No? No? maybe not. All right, so again, there's a couple items just to wrap up. First of all, congratulations to all the award winners. And thank you to everyone who presented posters or did oral presentations today. This event has grown significantly over the past few years and really represents the premier academic event of our institution. One that encourages networking and an interchange of ideas among students and faculty. Mark in your calendars, we already know the date for this next year, so you can incorporate it into your planning. It'll be on April 30th. It will always be the penultimate Thursday of the spring semester. So April 30th is our day for next year. My goal for next year is to get rid of this wall so that we can have twice the number of posters and fill up the entire web hall. But Kathy's shaking her head. That's it. I do have one note. We do need all the award recipients to stick around afterwards. We're going to try to get photographs taken of each of the award categories. And that's all I have. Thank you for attending, and hope to see you all next year.